the eternal city, a realm of gods and men, of temples and taverns, of glory and gossip. In 44 BC, its marble streets pulsed with ambition. Its people whispered of power, and above all stood one man, Gaius Julius Caesar, a general of legendary prowess, a statesman whose voice could sway 1,000 hearts, a visionary whose shadow stretched beyond the Tiber. But with power comes peril, and with glory, envy. What happens when a man becomes more than mortal? When the weight of a republic rests on a single pair of shoulders? This is the story of betrayal so profound it fractured the foundations of an ancient world. The tale of the Ides of March, a moment frozen in blood, preserved in legend. More than a murder, more than a political coup, it was the silencing of a soul that dared to reshape a civilization. This is not just history, it is prophecy. Because every age has its Caesar, and every Caesar has his Brutus. Julius Caesar was born in 100 BC into the Julian gens, an ancient family descended, they believed, from the goddess Venus herself. Though noble, their wealth had waned. Yet even as a boy, young Gaius carried himself with the bearing of a conqueror. He witnessed the chaos of Roman politics, dictators rising, civil wars raging. He saw power won not just by blood, but by brilliance. He studied rhetoric, philosophy, and the art of war. At 25, captured by pirates, he laughed at their ransom demands, saying they were too low. He promised to kill them. They thought it was a jest. It was not. Returning to Rome, Caesar climbed the Cors Anorum, Rome's political ladder, with startling speed. His charm was disarming, his ambition was electric. In 60 BC, he formed the First Triumvirate, a secret pact with Pompey the Great and Crassus, Rome's richest man. Together, they ruled Rome from behind the curtain. As governor of Gaul, Caesar didn't just administer, he conquered. Over 8 brutal years, he subdued the tribes of modern-day France and Belgium. His victories were bloody but brilliant. He wrote his own reports, Commentarii de Bello Gallico, simple, elegant Latin that turned war into poetry. He was not just a general. He was a brand. But power breeds fear. The Senate grew wary. Pompey, once his ally, now his rival, demanded Caesar return to Rome, alone. At the banks of the Rubicon, Caesar made history. Alia I acta est, he declared. The die is cast. He crossed the river with his legions. Rome and the Republic would never be the same. Civil war erupted. Caesar pursued Pompey across Europe and Africa, crushing his forces in a series of stunning campaigns. At Pharsalus, he won against all odds. At Egypt, he met Cleopatra. At Zela, he defeated the Farneses in 5 days. Veni, Vidi, Vici. I came. I saw. I conquered. Rome embraced him. The Senate crowned him with laurels. Statues were erected. Coins bore his image. Months were renamed. He was not just a man now, he was a symbol. But what happens when a republic becomes a monarchy in disguise? In 44 BC, Caesar was declared dictator perpetuo, dictator for life. For many, he was the savior of Rome. For others, he was the death knell of the republic. The Senate was not a place of peace. It was a battleground in togas. And now that battleground had chosen a new war against the man it once praised. Senators whispered beneath columns. What had they become? Servants to a king? Had Rome fallen without a single siege? Gaius Cassius Longinus. Intelligent, proud, resentful. He had fought beside Caesar, but now saw him as a tyrant. Cassius reached out to others. Some were idealists, some opportunists. And then he approached Brutus. Marcus Junius Brutus was no ordinary senator. He was the great-great-great-grandson of Lucius Brutus, the man who had expelled Rome's last king. Caesar loved Brutus. Some even whispered he was Caesar's biological son. What is certain is this: Caesar trusted him more than any other. That trust would be his undoing. Brutus wrestled with his conscience, the Republic's future, or his loyalty to Caesar, the spirit of Rome, or the man who had shaped his life. Finally, Brutus chose. He would betray Caesar to save the soul of the Republic. 60 senators joined the plot. They forged letters of support, rehearsed the kill, mapped every moment. They even considered murdering Mark Antony. But in the end, they focused on a single strike. Caesar. March 15th. The Ides of Rome awoke to tension. The skies were gray, the air heavy. Calpurnia's dreams tormented her. She clutched Caesar's robe, begged him not to go. "I saw you murdered in my sleep," she cried. Caesar hesitated, but fate intervened disguised as a friend. Decimus, conspirator, mocked the omens. "The Senate waits," he said. "Are you now afraid of the shadows, Caesar?" With pride as his chariot, Caesar mounted and rode to the Senate. As he walked through the streets, citizens hailed him, but some stared in silence. A soothsayer muttered once more, "Beware the Ides of March." Caesar smiled. "The Ides have come." "Aye," the seer replied, "but not gone." At the theater of Pompey, Caesar entered. The Senate rose. As he took his seat, the trap closed. A scroll was presented. He leaned to read. Casca struck. "Villain, what are you doing?" Caesar cried. Then another blade. Then another. Then another. 60 blades, 60 betrayals. Caesar fought, stumbled, bled, until he saw Brutus. "Et tu, Brute?" And with those words, he surrendered. Not to death, but to heartbreak. The Senate floor was quiet. Caesar's body lay motionless. His blood pooled like ink across the marble. The conspirators expected praise. Cheers. A new dawn for liberty. Instead, they were met with silence. And then rage. Rome mourned. The people wept. Mark Antony, Caesar's general and friend, seized the moment. At the funeral he spoke. Not with swords, but with words sharper than steel. This was the unkindest cut of all. He unveiled Caesar's body, pointed to each wound, named each man. The crowd howled. Fires were lit. Riots swept through the city. The conspirators fled. Brutus and Cassius regrouped in the east, but their cause was doomed. 2 years later, they were defeated at Philippi. Brutus, the idealist, died by his own hand. And in Rome, Caesar's heir, Octavian, rose. He became Augustus, and the Republic died with him. Rome became an empire, and Caesar, slain to preserve freedom, became the seat of tyranny. Julius Caesar lived as a man, but he died a legend. In his death, Rome was reborn, not as a republic of citizens, but as an empire of emperors. His assassination was not the end of ambition. It was its beginning. And today, the world still echoes with the clash of Caesar's legacy, of power, of betrayal, of destiny. This was the crime that changed the world.